I mean, at the extreme, there's Nazi punks. Not so much anymore, but in the 70s there were.
No,
That's
Nazi.
my favorite wrestler, Nazi CM Punk.
Ooh. Okay.
What's the difference between that and regular CM Punk?
I don't know, honestly.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Probably
A lot
the
of people.
anti-Semitism.
A lot of people are mad at CM Punk on Twitter now. So.
What did he do? What did he do?
There was a huge backstage brawl. I don't know. I still
Oh my
love CM
God.
Punk. Because also almost all the people, he just did a. There's all this like in wrestling, like these wrestling newsletters and journalists, but really like the journalists in wrestling are really just. Years ago, the one person who decided to chronicle all of wrestling is now the journalist. It wasn't like there was a newsroom and the best journalist is the one who got the most views or had the most reliable sources or anything.
Yeah.
There was just like one guy recording it forever, and now it's a little bigger than that, but it still is just kind of, I don't know, literally anybody could just start doing it and have a blog, and they could call themselves a journalist, which I guess exists in other media also.
Yeah.
That's
But-
Can you imagine
like a comedy journalist? That's Simons.
Yeah.
Remember that guy who was like
Yeah.
constantly like getting all of our dear friends, like the
Yeah.
Legion of Skanks and Come Town in trouble, and we're the ones with actual Nazi views.
Exactly.
Isn't that fucking wild? Like Bobby was saying, like, man, I would love to fucking kick in a black guy's face, and I was like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, dude.
That's what. That's why we had to
Yeah.
like cut the first like 15 minutes of
Right,
today's recording.
and then like we were talking about like all like the women we were grooming,
Right.
Yeah.
before the fucking thing started.
yeah, that's why we had to. We're in our second hour now. We usually do an hour as a palate cleanser.
Yeah, we have 3 hours of completely unusable footage before we even get into the hour Patreon
Yeah.
episode
Every
that
week-
only 100 some people have access to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe just went off for 14 minutes and 88
Yeah.
seconds about
Yeah.
God knows what.
Who knows? Yeah, dude. It was like, I mean, like, it's like, when like they have like Charles Manson interviews and he kind of like, you pick
R.I.P.
out
to
like
a real
every
one.
fifth or third word.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, that's kind of what I was doing
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
while. It's like, well, damn.
Stream of
He
consciousness.
wants to rape something.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Not
I
sure
say we
what.
just give this guy some space.
But yeah, it's weird. There's like one main wrestling quote unquote journalist
Who is it? Seth
Dave-
Simons?
No, Dave Meltzer, who like
Oh.
30.
The Meltzer
40
Papers.
Yeah, 30 or like 40 years ago, he just started ranking matches, being like, this one's 2 stars, this one's 3 stars, this one's 5 stars.
Oh, so a nobody ranking things arbitrarily just to start a conversation?
Exactly.
That's check out our fast food bread rankings, by the
Yes.
way, if you ever get a chance. I
Yeah.
posted it today on Instagram.
Yeah. But no, he because it used to just be I don't know, if we sell a lot of tickets, that was a good show. If we don't sell a lot of tickets, that was a bad show.
But it was the match itself he was
Then he
judging.
started ranking the matches. But it's not like there was a uniform decider of, I like these matches more. Or some, because, Undertaker was my favorite wrestler as a kid. He just moved pretty slow and did the Undertaker moves, and I thought that was awesome. But the wrestling newsletters would say he wasn't as fast-paced as some of the other guys. I'm like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So it's this weird arbitrary thing that has just been around for 30 years and one guy did it forever, that now people who are actual wrestlers who I'm supposed to like watch them are like, ooh, I hope I get 5 stars in this. I'm like, fuck that guy. I'm watching you. I don't give a shit what this other guy thinks.
Yeah.
It's like trying to go by like the Rotten Tomatoes rating instead of the audience rating.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
It's like Jay-Z said, fuck critics, they could kiss my whole asshole. If
Although
they don't
I
like
had-
my lyrics, they could press fast forward.
I at
Mercy.
least in other, critics in general, I kind of sometimes am like, what the fuck? But for the most part, like, I don't know, a lot of other things, when there's critics, they have some like level of expertise in the
Right.
thing. They're not just some guy who had way too much time on his hands, so he just made wrestling newsletters for 30 years. And now it's weird. This guy's like had so much influence on wrestling because people in wrestling grew up reading his newsletter and think, I guess that's what a good match is.
Yeah.
And so they keep doing, there's more 5-star matches now than ever, but I walk around and less people talk about wrestling than when I was younger.
Yeah.
What was one 5-star match that you were like, no, it wasn't?
There's been a few, because he does like a lot of these matches in Japan where it's a lot of guys who are just these young, thin guys who don't even really look like fighters, and they do a lot of like gymnastic type stuff that
Yeah.
looks very obviously choreographed, because I love Rey Mysterio, who did athletic stuff, but it always looked like he was fighting. There'll be like 5-star matches that sometimes he ranks something 5 stars that I think is good, but other times he'll be like, this is like 1 star, and I'm like, that was like my favorite moment of the year. It was just Undertaker being the Undertaker.
Yeah.
So it's all like character and entertainment and story. And his thing is like, well, they did a lot of cool moves, and I'm like, I care about who's doing it.
You got to have like different categories. You got to have like stage presence. You got to have mic skills. You got to have how they work with their partner.
Yeah.
You got to have like crowd reaction. You know, there's so many. It's like it's not just like one specific.
It'd be
thing.
like if somebody was ranking comedy sets and they just love one-liners.
That works for
So
me.
everyone who does one-liners gets 5 stars, and anyone who tells a story is ranked lower.
Who's
Yeah.
the worst comic that does one-liners?
The
do you think
worst
right
comic
now?
that does one-liners?
You can't say because everyone already hates him.
Does he do one-liners?
I don't
haven't
know.
seen
I
him
don't
in
fucking
forever.
listen to his
Yeah,
act.
kind of.
Yeah?
Uh-huh.
The most recent comic he saw on stage also did one-liners then, I guess?
Precisely.
I don't know. I feel like... Anytime I think of like a one-liner comic, I think of good ones.
Yeah.
Stephen Wright,
Yeah. Mitch
Hedberg. Dimitri Martin, sort of.
sort of Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm sure there's somebody at an open mic I saw bomb with one-liners and I just didn't remember their name.
I think that's like a great point, because there are some open micers that'll be like, will give solicited or unsolicited feedback to somebody like, oh, you're too low energy. I'm like, no, that's them.
Yeah.
It would be weird. What do you want everybody to be Robin Williams?
Yeah, exactly.
That's silly.
Yeah. And what's weird is that in wrestling, that guy's had a big enough influence that all the people who were the biggest fans then got into wrestling listened to it. And CM Punk just went to the company that has a lot of those type of guys like a year ago.
Okay.
And apparently behind the scenes over the last year, he's the older guy, the veteran, who's been giving a lot of younger people advice.
Okay.
And they don't like taking advice because they like getting 5 stars. And CM Punk's the guy who like actually knows how to make money in wrestling.
Yeah.
And so apparently stuff's been building behind the scenes for a while. There's been rumors about him that was leaked by other people in the company. So like 2 weeks ago or a week ago at a press conference after a pay-per-view, he just went off naming names and just shitting on everyone, wrestlers who are executives in the company. And he's like, they couldn't manage a fucking target. Just like, because they've been leaking stuff to the dirt sheets to all these dirt sheets about me. I'm gonna go fucking call out this empty-headed dumb fuck and naming all of
Yeah.
So a lot of people are mad at him, but for me, almost all the people he was calling out are people who I don't really like watching as a fan anyway.
Nice,
So
dude.
I'm kind of like, I'm still Team CM Punk.
Yeah, no wonder they call him Certainly Magnificent Punk. That's crazy, dude.
He fucked with people for so long with that. People would ask where it came from. I think when he was like 18, him and a friend were in a team called the Chick Magnets.
Uh-huh.
One was CM Punk, one was CM something else. But over the years, he just went CM Punk and didn't mention that anymore. People would ask him, he would just say Cookie Monster. He would just
hell yeah,
make
dude.
up
I
stuff.
think I heard Chicago Made
Yeah.
at one point.
Yeah, there's a bunch
Very
of things
cool.
you could fill
May
in
he
there.
rest in peace, dude.
Yeah.
Locker Room Talk. Check it out wherever podcasts are sold.